Right, let's do this.
I gotta say though, we have done some really good images. What am I doing here? We've created some pretty cool updated images, so I need to redo our intro. But
yeah,
good.
you came up with a really good logo. Yeah, I love the new logo.
Which one did you like? Because you sent me some pretty good ones too.
The one I really liked was the one I put up on Facebook, the white one. Because
Okay, the white one.
It reminded me the most of the original cover from the Jack Nicholson movie, just with the color palette and stuff like that, with the white background, black print, and the red padlock. You know, so like I did a podcast back in the day, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and like, you know, it was obviously massively influenced by Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So our logo incorporated a lot of the similar themes from the original movie, you know, because, you know, it's just to give the clear nod. But yeah, I love the new logo, to be honest with you.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta update that. I think what I'll do is I'll update it with clips from our actual show to blend into it, kind of like with the singed eye sockets, where I take clips and I have them kind of fade in and out with the intro. Yeah, and it'll kind of extend it as well, so that'd be kind of cool.
Fancy bastard.
You know, I've developed some skills over the years. All right,
technology.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say the most expert at any of this. I'm definitely not, but at least I know loopholes to make things work. All right. But even how you doing, dude?
I'm good. I want to say I've been busy, but the last few days I've been doing so little. Like,
it's nice to say that though. Sometimes.
Yeah, man, like, you know, like the last 6, 7, 8 months, I just been blah 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 going 900 million miles an hour, through so many different things. And but the last week or so, I was like, I'm not in work. I don't really have much to do. I'm usually I would just sit at my computer and write. And I did a little bit of writing and stuff, but like I just been playing The Last of Us. I completed Last of Us Part 1, Part 2. Started watching the show again. I just been turning my brain off, and obviously researching for this show here.
Yeah. I'm surprised you don't stream your games though. I mean, I know you just probably do it for fun, but you got the setup for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of lazy, you know. Like I like when I'm gaming, it's usually late at night because, you know, I have a shitty sleep schedule. So when I'm gaming, it's usually pretty late at night. So yeah, I just like when I can't sleep, I just started gaming recently, and
just excuses is what it is.
Yeah, it really is. Like, because to be honest with you, when I'm not podcasting with you, I just like being super private. You know, I just like I like doing my writing. You see my Facebook page; it's atrocious. Like, like there's literally nothing from my personal life whatsoever. Because
there's nothing. I post nothing about my personal life. I'm married and they know I have kids. That's all they know.
Yeah, like, but anyone that follows me on Facebook, the only people that probably know what I look like are people that actually see me in reality. You know, like, 100% clips on podcasts, because like I don't do much. Like, you know, I work, and if I'm not on work, I'm with my kid, and I love watching movies. It's something that I've always used as an escape since I was a kid. Like, I live in small towns, small villages, so I love watching movies, love watching TV shows, documentaries, seminars, lectures, reading stuff. Like, and right now I'm rereading my book River of Bones, because I'm planning on something. So I'm trying to get that story fresh in my head again. I'm halfway through that. So, but yeah, I'm not going to lie. I haven't been super productive since we last talked. I played a lot of The Last of Us. I completed both of them. If you want to cast that as productivity, I absolutely wiped the floor of both games. And then I watched the first 3 episodes of The Last of Us season 1.
Yes. See, I need to watch. So I got up. But the funny thing is, I got to the episode where they get to Kansas City. And then I never watched it. I live in Kansas City. I should have kept watching it, but I didn't.
In season 1.
Yeah. That's as far as I've watched.
Like, I recommend, like, if you've played I played the games, and I was like, shit, I'm just going to watch the show straight after now. I want to see, because now I know the story is so fresh in my head. I want to see the differences are, and I can see like the clever kind of narrative, like little spins they did. So like because in the game they use the spores as the persistent threat, but we can't do that in a TV show because you can't have actors wearing gas masks the whole time. So they created the mycelium thing, which is like a hive mind fungal, where if you touch one infected, and that's the persistent threat. So there is some cool little spins and stuff on that. I still totally disagree with Bella Ramsey being cast as Ellie, but look, I don't mind it really. To be honest with you, like this, the look of the show is so accurate to the show or to the game that there's a lot of worse adaptations out there right now, and I'm enjoying it.
So what but this isn't the topic of the show tonight. Anybody that's tuning in, but
of course it is.
What other series have you enjoyed that are based off of an actual game?
Like TV series Fallout. I'm not even a big Fallout fan. I seen I caught the first season of Fallout. Like I'm a not I want to say I'm not a diehard Bethesda fan. I've played like Oblivion, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls games and stuff like that. But I never really got into Fallout, which I probably should eventually. But the show is incredible. The cast is brilliant. Walton Goggins is always good and everything. But yeah, like that's off the top of my head. You could say the Silent Hill movie with Sean Bean. I can't remember the lead lady's name, the actor. But it's Silent Hill was pretty good. Yeah, there's not too many. Like it's the curse of the video game adaptation. The new Mortal Kombat was okay.
For me, I watched Fallout. I didn't watch. I think there's a couple more episodes I haven't watched yet, but I like it. I don't like anime, but I really like the action version of One Piece.
I haven't seen it yet.
I watched the first season. I didn't even know what it was, and somebody told me it was based off an anime, and I was like, "What?" I tried to watch anime, but I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. It's just too dumb. And so the action one is too, but it's really the way they have it set up is awesome. So the season 2 just came out on Netflix. I need to watch it. They're only like 30-minute episodes, but they're pretty good.
Yeah, actually, off the top of my head as well, Super Mario Brothers, the movies, they were fun. Sonic, they were fun as well. I like I found it hard as well to get into anime. I loved. Do you ever watch the Animatrix?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like that is actually incredible. Like there's a story in it with the sprinter and there's like it's really really good. Because I was about to explain it, but I don't remember it enough, so I'll start thinking about it and I'll start ruining it.
We'll come back.
Yeah, I but like the ending is
it's about 6 months. We'll get back to it. All right.
Talking about superhero messaging.
I think tonight's topic is actually was your idea, man. So do you want to kind of get the ball rolling?
Yeah, so tonight what we're thinking of talking about was Pax Judaica. It's something that I came across by pure chance on YouTube or Facebook. I can't really remember because I'm always like scrolling, looking for topics for us to talk about and researching and shit. But I came across this as something I'd never heard about. I know a little bit about Pax Romana from I loved the ancient Rome, ancient Greece and stuff. So I know a little bit about that. Pax is the Latin word for peace. But Pax Judaica, it talks about the Greater Israel Project.
I do find it funny that Pax means peace when it comes to these topics, but we'll get into
it. It's usually that goes back to the whole thing, peace through strength, isn't it? Like I think Donald Trump said that recently in a press conference or something. Yes. Oftentimes to gain peace, first you have to fight a war, and if you want to control the way the peace manifests, you're going to have to win the war. So you can influence the peace. It's like the Treaty of Versailles. That was technically a peace treaty, but really what it was you're fomenting Germany to become radicalized and to start World War II. And if they'd actually been fair with Germany at the end of World War I, you might have prevented the rise of the National Socialist Party in Germany. But that's a total side note. But kind of actually suppose National Socialism in Germany and Israel's creation do kind of have a symbiosis in a sense, but Pax Judaica, like the Greater Israel Project, is talking about how through manipulation of events, that Israel will look to increase its influence in the region and then become a global superpower by replacing America's petrodollar as the standard currency for the petroleum market, and replace them with the shekel and become the petro shekel. And so the idea is that through wars, through anti-Semitism, and through political manipulation, that Israel will use events to increase its land mass and decrease its influence in the region and globally. And that's what we're kind of going to.
And it kind of has a lot to do with what currently is going on too, with Israel and Iran and us, kind of helping Israel out. And the funny thing is, like, I think, and we're thinking that we're doing it for our interest, but I think Israel is doing it for the bigger picture. And I don't necessarily think that this is something that I do agree with this professor on, is that I don't think we're going to win the war. We're going to help Israel because they need to get rid of, they need to take over Iran in order to achieve Pax Judaica.
Yeah, because as well, Israel you have to take out the regime of Iran. It's not even that you have to take over the landmass of Iran in a sense. It's that what you need to do is you need to get rid of the regime that hates Israel, that pretty much that wants to wipe them out. And if you do that, then you get rid of their proxies in the region, like Hezbollah, the Houthis, and in that sense, if Israel is no longer fighting wars in Lebanon, you can already see their encroachment into territory against there in places like Syria. If Israel aren't fighting persistent wars, then you can grow your strength outwards. So, if you take cut the head off the regime in Iran, you get rid of all these radical clerics, you get rid of all these hardliners, you increase the level of Persian nationalism, and then you have because Persians and the Jewish people have a great history going back thousands of years, where the Persians freed the Jews. They lived together in Babylon, I think, and stuff like that. So if you can create a sense of Persian nationalism and get the regime to change completely in Iran, then they'll stop funding the Houthis in Yemen. They'll stop funding Hezbollah in Lebanon. And then Israel can exert their dominance more widespread if they're not constantly fighting wars. You don't really need to take over Iran. You don't need to take over the GCC countries. What you need to do is you need to conquer your neighbors and no longer be at war with them. So I think Lebanon's there, parts of Syria is there to be taken, and then as well, if the Houthis are taken out of Yemen, that opens up the strait that they have been kind of bombasting. I can't remember the name of it. It's not the Strait of Hormuz; it's the other one down near Somaliland and north the tip of Africa there. But yeah, so that's what you can see. You don't need to take over Iran to exert your dominance in Iran. What you need to do is you need to change the regime, and that's what they're trying to do. That's why they killed Ayatollah Khomeini, all his family, his underlings, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to have the Persian people rise up. What I didn't understand is, though, they keep calling Iran in public. If they were trying to incite a Persian uprising, they should probably start referring to the country as Persia.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. What do you know? So, did you research back to sort of the basics of where the concept of Pax Judaica came from originally?
I watched that lecture with Professor Jiang.
The full Chinese thing.
Yeah, the full thing, an hour and a half long. I think.
Yeah, he talks about Jacob Frank and all of that. So I basically got Jacob Frank up to basically where we're currently at.
Yeah.
So let's jump back a little bit to the beginning. Jacob Frank he had this following called the Frankism. Frankism, where I believe he was Jewish, correct?
I can't remember.
I don't even know if he brought it up. So I know that. You know what? You're right. No, yes, because Adam, he befriends Adam Weishaupt, who wants to infiltrate the Freemasons. Actually, so I don't think it's because Jacob Frank is friends with Mayer Rothschild, and Rothschild introduces him to Adam Weishaupt. And collectively, they create the idea is that they created the Illuminati during this time with the same.
Yeah.
They each have their different religious backgrounds, but the same end game, which is to create Pax Judaica.
Yeah, because at this stage, the Illuminati are trying to infiltrate the Freemasons.
Right. And Adam, shortly after they start this whole thing, he gets arrested, and it all becomes a conspiracy theory. They believe that the Illuminati never actually happened. So, like, that was the end of it. It never became anything. That's sort of what the bigger picture tries to cover up. But a lot of us, I don't know about any of you guys watching, believe in the Illuminati as still existence, but I do believe that they're still there.
Yeah, like it'd be a pretty shitty secret organization if everybody knew they existed for sure.
Right. I mean,
you know,
the only way you grow a secret society though is by word of mouth, but I think the hidden aspect of it makes that society more impressive for those kind of
yeah.
people, you know.
I think the best way to grow a secret society is by intermarriaging, and I think that's what to do.
What do you mean by that?
So, like, you have this, like the Rothschilds, they pop up in all these things. So, like, if you have a group of people that started a secret organization, how
Mhm.
can you grow your numbers without giving away the existence of a secret organization? You need people you trust. And if you have a close knit family, who do you trust more than your family members? Nobody. So
Yeah.
what you do is you enlist your cousins and you list your wives and their family, and they get married to other people, and then they bring them in, and then they bring them in. So, and they keep marrying, intermarrying with all these powerful families and all these like royalty and all this kind of thing. And that way you grow your numbers, you continuously grow your influence, and all these people don't want it to be discovered either because they're rich and wealthy and whatever. So they're
Right.
keeping your secret and you keep their secret. So that's how it profligates without it actually becoming known to be existent, because the people that you trust the existence of gain to benefit from the existence of it, and gain to benefit from the existence of it being a secret. And,
What a
so
what a crazy existence, man. Like I couldn't even wrap my head around the concept of being that wealthy.
yeah. But it would be cool though. Like,
I mean,
to never have to worry about anything ever, it'd be pretty
but
cool.
I think if you're at that level too, you don't really have an option to back out. Like if you know, you're either in
Yeah.
it or you're not here.
Yeah, dude, like if I was born into one of those families, I'm like, yeah, sign me up for everything. like obviously not like eat, you know what I mean? Obviously not like eating babies and stuff, but I'm like,
Yeah.
look, we're at this for what, 600-700 years, and like
Yeah.
it's in us. Let's just
Yeah.
like, let's
You're
just
not
do
you're
it.
not
I'm
calling
not.
up grandpa and saying, "Hey, I love what you do. I admire you, but
Yeah.
I just I don't think I'm interested." Like it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know those trillions of dollars and all that gold and secret wealth and knowledge? I'm not interested in any of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, like, if I was born into one of those families, like, I obviously wouldn't do the eating the baby shit, because, like, come on, but like, to join secret organizations, the Illuminati, to hold influence over the world, man, that shit is seductive. I don't care who you are. Of course, like, if that was presented to you to really have an influence over the way things go,
Mhm.
yeah, I think everybody would try it.
Well, and a
I
lot of
was just
like
like,
the Illuminati and like the ideology behind it is basically to achieve godhood.
mm,
You know, I
ball,
mean, yeah,
Magog and Gog and
yeah,
stuff.
the whole Gog and Magog, which we'll get into. But I
Yeah,
mean,
which is fucking
it
weird.
makes sense because I don't like so. The one thing that the Freemasons believe, which is what this professor talks about, is that God already came here. He created us, and he went
Mm.
on his way. He gave us free will. But now,
Yeah.
in order for us to progress, we need to recreate the godhood,
Mm.
and we can do
So we
that
have
through science and manipulation.
it's the age old thing, like, so right, if you believe in a deity, so right, God creates us, and the only way we could, like, so God creates us, and then most of us don't believe in God, right? So in a sense that we kill our creator by not believing in him, and then we'll become creators ourselves, and the only way to shake free of like that is become gods ourselves, and the only thing that we can create outside of human life is something brand new. You have to create something brand new, and that's AI, artificial intelligence. So, and then what a lot of people think that our creation will kill us, destroy us, in the same way that, like, Yeah, but it's for saying that, like, is it just me or is like religion getting a big upswing recently? Like everybody's got like everybody's like, I'm Christian, I'm Jewish, I'm Muslim, like
Yeah,
everybody's
like
picking
it's
a
that
side
whole
lately.
identity. It's like an identity crisis that the world's going through. It's why do you have to announce that you're something too? Like believe what you want to believe. Um,
Yeah,
but I don't think it's necessary to flaunt it. If anything, that just kind of shows weakness, in my opinion.
yeah. But it's gotten to the stage where it's like you're not allowed to worship your own God in peace anymore. Like it's like it seems that everybody seems to be trying to force their belief system on everybody else. Like if there's Catholics or Christians out there and they're like, oh, you should be Christian. There's Islamics out there and they're like, you should be Islamic. And and the Jewish people out there and saying you should, like, and there's all these hardliners. And this is where the problem is.
Mhm.
Over the last few years, you have this culture war. So it's wrong versus right. People always say it's left and right, but it's wrong versus right in a sense. Like I don't mean like in political sides. What I'm saying is like during COVID, everyone was like, you either believe in vaccinations or you don't. So
Right.
that was the big sticking point. And then after COVID, it was identity politics. It was like either you believe in trans or not, like, you know. And now it seems to have gone with the same mentality, this wrong versus right, that with this is now starting to find its way into religion, where religion seems to be the forefront of the political conversation now. And in the same way, like as identity politics was, in the same way that the vaccine politics was, and it because of the current mentality of people, the way everything's just fractious, everyone's on a side, that it's a very dangerous thing to start looking at only extremes in. It's like one thing you can talk about extremes in vaccines, blah blah blah. That's one thing. One thing to talk about extremes in gender politics, that's another thing. But when you start talking about extremes in religions, wars happen. Like
Ooh.
it's not, you know what I mean. That's the difference. That's the huge difference, and that's what we really
Well,
have to be
the
careful about right
but
now.
that's the
Like, you know,
thing is though somebody that is so invested in their belief of Christianity and their God is
yeah,
going to meet someone that is Muslim and is so invested into
yeah,
their God. And both of their minds are, you're wrong. My God's right. And you just can't fix that, unfortunately.
and
And
it's the
who's
same
right?
God, though, isn't
Which
it?
one's right? Because they
What's the
both
same
believe
God,
that there's right. Yeah. No.
isn't
Well,
it? Though
I don't.
it's just
Here's my
different
thing.
prophets.
My view of God is a level of energy that we achieve, not an actual deity, you know. And
Yeah,
in order to achieve it is our connection to ourselves and to our energies to get to that next level of frequency. I don't believe that it's deity. Like it's not a physical thing.
mm,
It's not something else. It's within you, you know. Like when somebody
like
prays, they're praying and they like get like this warm feeling when they, I've done it. I grew up Pentecostal, and like when you pray, you kind of get like this warm fuzzy feeling, and like you feel like you were heard, you know.
yeah.
And I did the same thing with astral projection when I got out of religion, and I realized that it's an essence of energy that makes you feel better when you're doing it yourself. You don't need somebody else to. You obviously connected to something,
Yeah.
but I think it's an energy frequency. I don't think it's an actual deity.
My interpretation of religion, but before I go into my interpretation of religion, but I just think always frustrates me about religion in the first place is that they're not disputing whether or not there's a God. Like Jewish people, Muslim people, and Christian people, they're not disputing. They're not saying your God doesn't exist. They're not saying your God doesn't exist. What they're saying is your interpretation of God is incorrect. So
Yeah.
let's all kill each other over it. Like
Right.
it's pretty much what they're saying is like your opinion is wrong. Now I'm gonna you should all die because of it. Like that's what they all stem from the Abrahamic religions. They
Right.
all stem from the same place. They just have different prophets. They have different holy books. They have different interpretations. But like a lot of it is, it's not like where you'd say to someone like, you know, when you go towards them and saying like, you know, your belief system, like it's not like your God doesn't exist. It's like you to have the wrong opinion on God, you should die. Like you should, like it's crazy to me that they all stem from a similar background, Like if you look at Muslim people and Jewish people, they don't eat pork. Like, you know, they both pray specific time of day. Like they have so many things. If you look through their tenets, and same with Christianity, there's so many similarities because they all have the root in the same base. And
Mhm.
it's like they go to war for your interpretation of religion is crazy to me because it's like I said, it's not that it'd be different if like atheists were going to war with religious hardliners. They're
Right.
like, we don't believe in God. You believe in God. We should go to war over it. You don't believe, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like the old back in the day where it's like apostates. You know, if you didn't
Yeah.
believe in God, you know, we'd punish you for it or whatever. That kind of makes more sense to me. But the fact that they all believe, I'm pretty sure, in the same God, and they just have different interpretations of the God, and they all decide let's just kill each other forever over this, like, which is crazy. But my interpretation of religion, I don't know if I've ever spoken about this in podcast before, probably have, but I go back to the whole ancient advanced civilization. I think that the deities came from there's some sort of advanced civilization, whether it came from the stars, whether it came from different parts of the world, that like there was an event that caused them to influence the evolution of lesser primates or lesser humanoids or hominids around them, and because of their advanced technology, they worship them as gods. Would they say, like, you know, when science becomes so advanced that's indecipherable from magic? So like it's kind of like that thing where, which I heard that from Thor,
What do you
and
think? That's
like,
good.
yeah, but it
Uh,
comes to that kind of thing that like where I think the our deities come from advanced civilizations that influenced lesser hominids or less advanced civilizations, and because of their advanced technology, they worship them as gods, and because of the information they had, they thought they had some sort of connection with the universe, but all they really had was knowledge, you know, in the same way that we do today in lots of ways.
right. Do you think that science ties into religion? Because there's also that whole argument that science is wrong and religion is right. Have you ever heard that kind of debate that the Big Bang isn't didn't really happen? Like, could it not just coexist? Like, if
Like,
if you believe that, why can't you believe that? You know what I'm saying?
oh, yeah, no, I don't think that they can't coexist. I just think that maybe natural occurrences, a lack of perception of natural occurrences created a metaphysical response, if that makes any
Mhm.
sense. That, like, so like as I'm saying, like if you interact, we talk with the cargo cults at the end of World War II, when all the ships were dropping stuff to these like small island nations that had no contact with modern civilization. They went there and they had effigies built of all these planes because they worshipped them as gods. Like, I think that our understanding of things has evolved over time because of the what's the word I'm looking for, the kind of, like, do you know, when pretty much we've seen a lot of technology, we've seen lots of science, we've seen lots of different forms of it, so we understand it differently now. We have a different perception of technology and science and
Well, it's also
advanced
it's
things.
being shown to us though too.
Yeah,
We're
that's what I'm saying.
visualizing it.
Yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? We're exposed to it more often than if you look at it. Like, imagine being a primitive civilization. So if you want to look at ancient Sumer,
You know what I find
right?
funny is we get off topic all the time, but for some reason it just flows so well.
Yeah,
Continue.
but we'll circle back, I promise. Because like if you look at ancient Sumer, if you had a civilization that was advanced in its own sense, but if it was to come across with a civilization that was just say 200 or 300 years more advanced than they were, they would worship them as gods, and any information they provided to them would look like it came from the heavens, because the only understanding they have of beings that are greater than them is a deity, not a
Mhm.
more advanced civilizations. And if they flew there, just say, like, if you look at like Native Americans when they talk about the Thunderbird, what could that be like, you know? So like, if you look, what if they flew there? They talk about they come from the heavens. Like, what if they just had advanced technology? Like, what? Like, if you had an apocalypse right now, and the smartest people from a 21st century civilization were able to go into the wilderness with the remnants of the future technology and the information that they had left back from the civilization, they would be worshipped as gods. And that's what I'm saying. Like, because now we're exposed to technology more and more and more as a modern civilization globally, and because we're a global civilization, we're all exposed to the same things at the same time.
Right.
That if we were to come in contact with a more advanced civilization now, we wouldn't worship them as gods. We would look at them as more advanced civilization because we're exposed to more advanced technology. But if you were to put one of us, as I said, in the rainforest with one of these uncontacted tribes, if they don't murder us and eat us, of course, or whatever, if
Definitely
we
gonna
were to go there,
murder us to eat us.
yeah, 100%. Like, and we'd probably deserve it too because we would say something like something horribly offensive.
I'll record it on my phone.
Yeah, but imagine if you landed there in like an advanced, like imagine if you had a fighter jet or a fucking military cargo ship. And you all land and you all have M16s and you all have fucking rocket propelled grenades and you all have like cell phones and satellite phones and all this. What's that going to look like to pretty much a Stone Age civilization? It looks like magic. It looks like a deity. It looks like you come from the heavens because that's how they perceive
and
the sky.
they're still around, man. Even in the Amazon, there's tons of tribes out there that still live like that.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I don't think they would probably worship us as gods now because I'd say they've seen enough planes in the sky, and
they would probably as evil. But it is. I mean, so like growing up, and this kind of starts to bring us back. In the Pentecostal religion, a lot of things that weren't focused on the Pentecostal belief were considered secular or a sin, which a lot of the Illuminati and that, Freemason lore is that you have to create sin in order to bring back this, to create this whole Grog and Magog or concept. You have to kind of get everybody against each other too.
Yeah.
And so in the Jewish belief, it's like we need God to come back, but in order for that to happen, we need to take back the Solomon's temple, because that's where God lives. But right now it's being ran by the Muslims, right? Like they have their own building temple there.
The Temple Mountain. It's the third most sacred site in Islam.
Crazy, man. It's crazy to believe that that's like, it's so precise that it's a specific building that they're like,
man, it's like, it's what I found fascinating about the Pax Judaica thing is the whole manufactured anti-Semitism. Like, so what you touched upon there is to bring about the war. All right, so what Professor Jiang talks about is there's going to be a war with Gog and Magog, which is pretty much the Messiah and the Antichrist. So to bring about that, you need to create a big war. You need to create Armageddon, which he pronounces hilariously.
He does. He does.
I
can't even do it.
Armageddon. But so to bring about Armageddon, what you need to do is you need to create a holy war, and to make the Jewish people feel like they're under threat, you need to create an increase of anti-Semitism around the world. So what you do is you actually start attacking everybody. So you actually turn yourself into the bad guy. The state of it, that this is what the idea is behind the attacks in Gaza and the attacks in Lebanon and places like in Syria and the war now in Iran.
I love how he keeps like throughout the whole thing. He keeps going, "This is just a theory, though. Don't believe it."
Or every now and again, he just goes, "That makes sense. That makes sense. I'm a god." And but like, he's so clever, but he breaks it down really simplistically. And so he states that the idea is that the reason Israel are going hellbound in fighting wars in Lebanon, fighting wars in Gaza, fighting war in Iran, and is to create them to portray themselves as the villain around the world, to create all this hatred, not just for themselves as a state, but the wider Jewish population, because there is a divide in Judaism, Zionism and Judaism. So you have your more moderate Jewish person, and you have your more hardline Zionist, or they believe this is where the control of Israel is. The influence in Israel tends to lean towards Zionism. This is where Armageddon comes from, the Battle of Gog and Magog, the more fundamentalist interpretation of Judaism. So what they need to do is to create this influx of Semites returning to Israel, Canaan, the land of Canaanites, the original area of land where Palestine is, and Gaza, and the West Bank, and Israel is now, was all originally called Canaan, the Canaan or Canaan, and they're called the Canaanites, and that's why they believe the land belongs to them, because the original Judaism, Jewish people were called Canaanites, and so you have this influx of, or sorry, increase of anti-Semitism through all these negative acts that Israel are conducting in the Middle East. You will have the people that are Jewish will return to Israel, return to the homeland, because that's where they'll feel safest amongst their own people. You'll have a massive increase in the population, a massive increase in your military forces, and you can propagate these wars in the region until you increase your influence in the Middle East by ousting the regime in Iran, by toppling Hezbollah in Lebanon, by toppling the Houthis in Yemen, and then you can start increasing your land mass, taking over land by pretty much, they're committing pretty much an act of genocide in Palestine right now. I don't know why I said pretty much. They're clearly committing an act of genocide in Palestine right now.
No, it's just a theory.
Yeah, just a theory, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So what their plan is, I seen an interesting thing about the Israeli flag. So it's two blue lines, and in the middle is a star.
We got to do something.
Yeah. And in the middle is the Star of David, and then there's two blue lines.
Yeah.
And that's the Euphrates and the Levant, or something, I think. I'm not sure, but it's two rivers. So with Israel is the Star of David represented in the center. So pretty much the theory is, backing up Pax Judaica, is that to fulfill the great destiny, it's kind of like in America, the sea, the shining sea. What they want to do is they want to go from the Euphrates to the Levant, I think, and their nation shall encompass the landmass in there. And I think, I don't know, I sent you some images if you want to throw them up about Greater Israel and Pax Judaica and how geographically it will influence. But there's so much more. Just talking about the geographical influence, and we touched a little bit about the petrodollar. So Israel wants America to lose the war with Iran. Israel wants America to be pushed there. This is allegedly, this is the theory. So look at there, yeah. So the Euphrates in Iraq to the Levant? I'm not sure what this, to the Mediterranean Sea, maybe. So I think it's, I'm not sure. I think it was one river to another, but so that's what the landmass would look like under
so the one that goes through Egypt over. Yeah, you got the river that goes through Egypt, and then you've got the river that basically borders.
Is that the River Nile?
Well, no, it cuts through Iraq as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Euphrates that cuts through Iraq.
Yeah.
Because I seen a documentary.
And then the River Nile. Yeah.
Yeah, so like they want to take over Jordan, part of Syria. They've already started incursions into Syria. They've already started incursions into Lebanon. They're already committing a mass genocide in Palestine. So, like, you can see, like, you can call us conspiracy theorists, you can call Professor Jiang conspiracy theorists, but this is game theory. This is what he speaks about, where you look at past events to try to predict future events. And the best way that's what they say, the best way to forecast future events is to look at people's past actions. So if you look at what Israel are doing right now, the actions they're committing, the wars that they've initiated, that it seems like this Pax Judaica thing is actually, in full motion forward. And you see the increase of anti-Semitism around the world because of their actions in the Middle East. So that's also a thing that he touches on, that's also incorporated into it. The war in Iran, like, if America loses the war in Iran, if they're forced back out of the Middle East, and Israel increases their influence in the Middle East, then if they increase their influence over the petroleum market, then the petrodollar will be replaced by the petroshekel.
If the way he explains it is true, and the elites are what are ultimately the ones that nobody sees, because he explains that triangle or the pyramid. The ones at the top, you don't know who they are, you don't see them, they don't exist, but they're there. If this is all part of that, his theory, then it's gonna happen, right? I mean, in the end game, everybody has a boss. Everyone has a boss. We're gonna eventually get into like BlackRock and things like that, but which is fun, dude. I love these deep dives. But it's at the end of the day, there's a boss to everyone, no matter
Of
what.
course, of course.
And we don't know that stuff we'll never see, but they control everything. There's it in religion. It doesn't matter about religion. It doesn't matter about any of that. It's just about how powerful can you be, and how do you exert it.
Yeah. Religion is just another instrument. It's like they use money to influence people, they use fossil fuels, they use precious minerals, they use gems, and religion. Like you look through history. What's been the most controlling factors through history? Are we need land, we need precious minerals, we need like fuel sources and religion. They're all the things that fuel wars. All the things: land, religion, and resources. They're the three things. So like, if you control all three things, and if you can control, that means in a sense you can control the wars. And like,
Right.
wars always happen, and then they will always happen. Like people always say peace on earth, 70 years. Like, what peace was after World War II? America was in the war in Korea. They're in war in Vietnam.
Yeah.
There was proxy wars. There was like Cuba was having a revolutionary war. Like, I think there was wars in South America as well. Like, and so like there's never been a period of time in history, as far as I know, where there's actually been peace. And
No.
because and the thing about it is, we fight over finite resources that we've been fighting over for thousands of years. I don't think we're going to run out. Why are we still fighting over them? You know what I mean? No,
Right.
like we're fighting over gold, lads. Like, we've been fighting over gold for hundreds of thousands of
It's
years. I think
well,
we're cool. I think there was enough gold.
the
Like,
problem. The other thing is that the people who come up with better options end up
mm,
disappearing.
yes,
The invention of the guy who created there's a guy who created a car that runs on water, disappeared,
yeah,
just gone.
disappeared.
Tesla just disappeared. You know,
He was ruined. They ruined his reputation.
yeah,
Like, and he died a pauper.
yeah. I mean, we have people who are inventing things to benefit our lives that are
Yeah,
just wiped off the map, and there's
yeah,
a
and
reason why.
I think as well that, in my opinion, right, like, everybody's terrified of like the hydrogen bomb, the atom bomb, the nuclear bomb. Everyone's terrified of nuclear energy, right?
Mhm.
Everybody. I actually think the reason that nuclear energy has been given, like, I know things like 3 Mile Island happened in Chernobyl, right? But like, right, like if you look at, I think it happened in Lebanon, where I think it was in Beirut, where like there was like fertilizer. It was a fertilizer depot, and a fire broke out, and it was one of the largest explosions in the Middle East. And like literally, so what I'm trying to say is that, like, certain, like, there's so many different things that can cause damage or explosions, or like, and everyone's terrified of nuclear energy. And I think a lot of that comes back to the petrol industry and petroleum, because nuclear energy is actually way more fuel efficient than diesel or petrol or anything, pretty much, really. Like, all you need to do is, you need centrifuges, you need water, you need turbines, and you just need to keep that motherfucker cool. That's it. All right.
They're actually they're discussing a a law to restrict your amount of time to take a shower here in the states.
Because of
And
because of
because of the amount of the data centers are using up all our water, man.
It's crazy, man. But like, so with nuclear energy, the only thing that actually emits is steam.
Hmm.
That's it.
Hmm.
Like, look at all the fossil fuels. Like, they say, like, oh, drink out of your paper straw, and look at China, and they have all these massive coal-powered plants, and they're
Hmm.
bellowing smoke into the air, and they
Right.
have diesel and all these things, right? And the reason they want to pretty much say nuclear energy is, ooh, it's so scary. It's like, it's not really scary. It's like anything. If you fucking look after it, you have people that
Yeah.
are trained experts. You're not going to get a nuclear meltdown, right? There was nuclear power plants in France for a long time. There's nuclear power plants in Germany for a long time. In Japan, like, I know the Fukushima disaster almost happened, but that's because of a tsunami. Like, I know,
They
like,
have
the thing is,
they have things. So we have these pills. When COVID happened, um my wife bought these pills that you can take them before an attack, like a nuclear attack
iodine,
or something. I don't know what it's called, but it's something that coats your the lining of
the
your body.
thyroid.
There you go. And it protects you. So like there's preventative actions that have been
Yeah,
developed in case that
yeah,
kind of stuff happened.
yeah. So pretty much, your thyroid is the part of your body that absorbs the most radioactivity from fallout. as far as I know. And if you take iodine, prevents your thyroid from absorbing excessive levels of radioactivity or some shit
Yeah.
like that. But
Yes.
like most of the time, I think it's just a case of like, bro, it's just a placebo. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Have you seen the latest 28 weeks or years later or whatever?
One Temple. No, I haven't caught it yet. No, is it
It's
good?
good, man. Yeah, but like the doctor, the one of the main characters in it, he coats himself in iodine because it confuses the zombies.
Yeah, like iodine's an amazing like antiseptic. It's an amazing bacterial killer, or whatever. Like it kills pretty much everything. But like if you're in Chernobyl and you have that much exposure, I don't give a fuck how much iodine you got in your system, bro. You're dying of cancer. Like you're like you know what I
You're
mean.
coming out
So
of there with 5 eyes, dude. It's happening.
I can remember when we had like it was a Sellafield, was a nuclear power plant that was off the coast of Ireland near Britain, and we were getting iodine tablets in the post and shit like that because there's going to be like a terrorist attack. Like, look, right. First of all, that's not how it works, right? It's not enriched. It's not enriched uranium. Okay, the plutonium has to, or whatever, it has to be a certain level of enrichment. It's like 90% enrichment. It needs to be weaponized. Like it's the okay. The fallout would be lethal, but it's not going to be like it's not going to be like a Hiroshima. It's not going to be like a Nagasaki. That's not how it works, and that's why the war in Iran is occurring in a sense because they're trying to. They said they had 60% enriched uranium. Because the piece of cord had fallen away, that they were like 7 to 10 days. They've been saying this for 40 fucking years that like the Iranians are 7 to 10 days away from enriching uranium to create a bomb, and they say that they have enough uranium now that's high. Like, they say they have enough enriched uranium now they can make between a dozen and 16 nuclear warheads. I don't believe it. Look, just say what it is. Why do they always have to lie? We don't need a nuclear Iran. No, you just want a regime change. Just fucking
Yes.
just
Well,
do it.
it's all
People aren't going to
it's
like it anyway.
who has the bigger balls. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen the memes of like of Kim Jong Un just kind of looking around like, man, everybody's keep leaving me out of the war here. He's just kind of doing
it's
his
it's
own thing.
it's just the best shield from the United States. If you are a tyrannical regime and you don't want your country invaded by America, the only way to guarantee that is nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's
And
literally it.
block
And
them
that's the
out.
only.
Don't let them know any of your shit other than you have
Yeah.
nuclear weapons. That's all you get to
Yeah.
know.
Exactly. That's what North Korea did. They're like because North Korea geographically are safe in a sense because of China right beside them.
Mm.
So like that's what happened in the Korean War. Like the Americans were there, but I think there was this quote from a Korean soldier. He said, "I believe that the fate of Korea will be decided not by Korean soldiers, but by the boots of foreigners, because the Chinese had influenced the North Koreans so much, and the Americans had influenced the South Koreans so much that." It was more of a proxy war of China versus America than it really was in that the Korean Republic against South Korea, and that's what protects North Korea in the sense of like they didn't really even need nuclear weapons; they just wanted them because I don't think America would ever invade because it's a direct attack on China. It's really is. It's right beside them, and
Yes.
like I think America can beat China in a war. I really do. I think America can beat anybody in a war, and anybody that doubts America's military prowess are idiots. Like they really are because they spend $1 trillion. You spend $1 trillion a year on defense. Like you've got
We are
shit that we have no clue about.
Well, and a lot of
Like you know what I
yes,
mean?
and even some of the training that we put our military through is like absolutely nuts. And what people don't see are the people that get turned away. There are people that don't make it because of
Yeah.
how extreme some of it is.
And what happens
Like,
if there's a world war? Those guys that didn't make it, that are better than 80% of the soldiers that did make it in other armies around the world, well, they're going to get drafted. And now
yep,
you're going to have all of these guys that hunt in the Appalachian trails, that are out in the Great Plains, that just fucking hunt and kill shit and suffer
yeah,
through it for the fun of it. You're going to have 10 million of them, 15
yep,
million of them enlisting. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, someone said, I was at the Japanese emperor, one of the generals said, you can never invade America because there's a door around there's a gun around every corner. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's more guns in America than there is people. Like people don't understand. Like, and that's just the basic level.
yes,
So like you can't invade America. You have to cross the Atlantic on one side to attack them. You have to cross the Pacific on the other side to attack them. So the only way you can attack them is by ICBMs, right? So if you start launching ICBMs in America, right, you're going to disappear off the map overnight because America are just going to unleash hell on you. So you can't attack
Yeah, we're gonna
America.
find out.
Yeah, and if people think this Pax Judaica thing, like a war in Iran, or like, yeah, you lost in Afghanistan. Did you lose your influence in the Middle East? No. Well, you increased your influence in the Middle East because why? Extremism went up in the region, and what happens if you need there's more Islamic extremism? You need more protection from by America. Like, so what happens then? They're just going to sell up a couple of air bases. They're going to sell you some jets. They're going to protect your countries. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you will never beat America out. This whole thing of like, "Ooh, America should be afraid of China." Why? China can't even invade. China can't even invade Taiwan. It's right there. It's right there. Like, what chance do they have against America? Honestly,
Right.
and I think it's a big lie as well. Like, about China's population. Like, I talked about that before about the global population. I think it's less than it actually is.
You don't think it's actually 8.6 billion?
No, I don't even think it's close. Like, I think the reason they say that is if you've got right. So if you've got 8 billion people, you as an individual has got literally no value whatsoever because you're expendable, you're replaceable.
Well,
You're
that's
just
the
what.
truth, though. We are expendable.
That's what I'm saying. But like, that's the how. Why do we think that? Because we think there's 8 billion of us. All right. And so why do we fight over resources? Because they think there's a finite amount because there's 8 billion of us. We're going to run out. They've been telling us we're going to run out of stuff forever. This is what I think is hilarious. Like, we keep fighting wars over the same shit that we're going to run out of, but we never seem to run out of those things. Like, why haven't we run out of oil yet? Like, how much oil is used every day around the world? Why haven't we run out of it? I thought it was a fossil fuel. I thought it was like, I thought there was like, how long have we been using
You
oil for?
dilute it, okay? You dilute it.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what they say. Like, it's like, I believe that a lot of things is you create scarcity creates demand, but also allows you to control people. So if
Have
you
you ever?
think
Okay,
every,
hold on, before we get too far ahead, because
yeah,
this is a point where I don't necessarily agree. Because have you ever seen like a mason jar full of jelly beans, and people are like, "Guess how many are in there?"
yeah,
And like most people are way under.
yeah,
I mean, think about how many people live in your neighborhood. Like, I don't know what your town is like, but I know I live in a major city. And
yeah.
just with the people I work with and the amount of volume I see in one store, I've worked at 3 of our stores. And every one of them, the amount of traffic that we get, I can't fathom. I wouldn't be surprised if it was more than we're being told, because that's just based off of registered people. That number is based off of registered people. You know, we talked about those tribes earlier that don't even exist. We don't know that population. So I think that I personally think that we are going to hit max capacity unless we continue to build up, which is what we're kind of starting to do.
No, but like, there's so many parts of the world that are empty. Look at the flyover states in America. Like, look at Montana. Look at all these places, dude. Look at China, right? Like, on one coast, there's 90% of the population or something like that. On one coast, like, we're never. It's like if they'd be telling us we're going to reach mass capacity forever. They're telling us we're going to run out of things forever. They're telling us
Well, that's why
everything is
you get
scarce
these
forever.
wars and you kill off whole schools full of children and moms and
But
families, and you're like, well, that happened, and then we keep
but you,
moving on.
yeah, but like the thing is, if there's 8 billion people, like look at McDonald's, the whole McDonald's thing, right?
With a hamburger meat.
McDonald's, yeah. So they say they sell the specific amount of hamburgers every day. Is it 65 million hamburgers or something every day? Every day, like that doesn't make sense because like where does all that meat come from? You talk about how much cows, right, and all that. It's like you talk about how much people. I think in my mind, I don't know why, but if you look at maps and you look at all these empty parts of the world and you look at all these places with low populations, and I know you say density often happens on coastlines because it's easier for trade, it's easier for travel, and that's where humanity often the build up civilizations on the coast because near water you can travel, you can trade, blah blah blah. But I just think if you look at the world, there's so many empty places, there's so many empty spaces that I think the best way to control humanity, like this is the theory, I don't know, that I think the best way to control humanity is constantly have everything seem like it's really, really scarce.
Well,
The
that's the whole flat Earth example of
hypothesis.
example of you only believe that the world's a globe because you're told that in school. You know,
Yeah.
it's all what's placed in front of you. That's what you only believe what's been placed in front of you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is what I believe in. Like, I'm
I
not
know.
saying that other people should believe in it. Like, I'm just
You're
saying
a
that,
flat
like,
earther. Got it. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
how fucking dare you, sir? We
I'm
all
just
saw the
kidding.
episode with David
Yeah,
Weiss.
well, you
I
were
was,
on it. You were on it.
yeah, I was on it. I argued with him a lot, but
That was a
no,
fun show. If you guys haven't seen that, watch it.
yeah, I just think like if you want to kind of circle back to the Pax Judaica thing, and like one of the best ways to control people or to control an environment or whatever is to create scarcity. And as I said, we've been fighting all these wars over infinite resources, like finite resources. But they've been telling us they're finite all the time. But every
Mhm,
time it's finite, we find another oil field.
mhm.
We find another gas pocket. We can frack somewhere that we couldn't. You can extract natural gas from somewhere we couldn't. Like, is the technology just getting better, or the fact is they already know where all these things are? And it's
Well,
like with the
there's
diamond
so much.
market.
Well, I mean, there's also the whole idea that there's so much of the Earth that we haven't even explored yet.
Yeah,
You know, we
yeah,
haven't
but
even.
like,
So,
or we have, and they just like look at Antarctica. Like
mhm.
for all we know, there's a shit ton of natural resources there. We'll never know because they never let anybody go in there. Like every country on the planet or something has a pact to saying
Yeah,
that like nobody can alter Antarctica, and that's one of the few things that they've actually never reversed. So like it's I find that very interesting. I
like
definitely
a
don't
last
believe
shred of
in yeah, I definitely don't believe in flat Earth or any of that shit. But I just think
wisdom.
it's a I think if you look at movies like Blood Diamond, where if you see the part like at the where they show you the diamond market, where they talk about the valuation of all these diamonds, and because
Mhm,
their valuation is based on how rare they are, and rarity and scarcity go hand in hand,
mhm.
but they control the market by getting all these things, and they hold back all the reserves. So the ones
Correct.
that they push out can increase in value because they seem more rare and scarce. And I
Right.
think the best way to create scarcity through a global civilization is to say like, hey, there's 8 billion of us or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and
Well,
so there's a
how long
certain
how long has China had that whole like kid restriction? Isn't there like a restriction on how many kids they can have?
and their population still goes up. How? 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 Come on. Come on. How is their population still going up? They've had the
Yeah.
one child policy for over 40 years, 4 decades, right?
Mm.
That's 4 different generations of humans, and yet their population is still going up. Makes zero sense. So
It doesn't
you
make
can
any sense.
say that's the thing. You can say you can include immigration and stuff like that, but China aren't allowing a shit ton of immigrants to come into their country. Like, you
They're
know what I
not.
mean?
I mean, you see a lot of
And
influx in Europe, you know, you see a lot of
yeah,
influx in the States,
I think there's like
um,
50 million immigrants after coming in Europe in the last like 20, 30 years. Something crazy.
which is
Like,
also part of this professor's whole spiel.
yeah, exactly. So,
I do like his way of bringing in examples for his theory is probably why he's sort of trending right now with this topic.
yeah, like he's really good at breaking it down, but he's really good at offering real world examples. So
Mhm.
it seems like less conspiracy and more just like political forecasting.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
Political
like,
forecasting, I like that. I like that term.
yeah, so what you touched on a second ago is the influx of migrants coming from Muslim countries in
Yeah.
Europe at the moment is creating obviously well, it's having two effects. It's having an increase in anti-Semitism in Europe, and it's also increase in the right-wing conservatives are gaining more and more influence in Europe because it was like people like Angela Merkel and other kind of liberals. Their policies allowed mass migration on immigration to come into Europe over the past like 10, 15, 20 years. And because of that, you see places like Poland have become very strict in terms of their people that they allow into their country. Same with Hungary, and not coincidentally, those countries have a very low crime rate compared to places like Germany, Sweden. That have completely no go areas. Look at England. What's going on in England right now? England looks like it's been conquered.
Is
And
Switzerland, because isn't Switzerland got like this weird neutral thing where they don't get involved in anything, but they're like one of the most wealthiest countries out there?
oh yeah, because they took all that Nazi gold, and they've got like really loose banking laws. So like they ever
It's
hear the
just
old thing,
and
the
they're
Swiss
just like
bank account?
everything there's just quiet. Like you don't know shit about it. It's just
Yeah, because that's probably like why lots of
that's where the
you know
Rothschilds are.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's where they come from. A lot of these people come from Switzerland, Austria, Germany, these very wealthy, these very centralized countries, and because of so to circle back to Pax Judaica, because of the increase in migrants in Europe, which causes the increase of right wing conservatism, also causes the increase of anti-Semitism. To talk about Pax Judaica, that will cause the Semites, the Jewish people, to return back to Israel, bolster their numbers, and allow them to exert more dominance in the region, and bring about this war of Armageddon, the battle of Gog and Magog, the Antichrist versus Christ, and the
Do you think
return.
it's going to be achieved? Do you?
It all depends on your interpretation of what the Messiah is. He touches
I
upon AI.
so I think yes, and that's kind of where I wanted to start. When we get to the point where we're wrapping up, which will be soon. Um, I don't necessarily agree that the outcome is going to be the way that he theorizes it to be, but it will be along the premise with the involvement of AI, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like AI's influence on humanity is inevitable. Like it's already occurring. Like it's the AI's been used. I'm trying to remember the name of the company, but like AI has been used extensively in the war in Iran right now. Claude and some other company, I can't remember, begins with A, I think. Their AI are both being used a lot to target. And that's why America and Israel have been really successful in targeting the Iranian higher command, and that's why the Iranians have. They say that their ballistic actions have come down increasingly. Their drone attacks have come down increasingly because if you have advanced targeting and weapon systems, so you can fire as much as you want, but as soon as you fire, you give away a heat signature, you give away your position, you're fucked. So you can fire as much as you want in the early days, but the more you fire, if you don't have a mobile missile unit where you're constantly changing your location, the more you fire, the chances of your location being discovered by an advanced like military like America or Israel increases, and that's where AI has been really successful so far in Iran. So like if you talk about Professor Jiang's hypothesis that we spoke about Pax Judaica, like they say that currently the new Silicon Valley is in Jerusalem. Like, it's in Israel. All the big companies are
Yeah.
there. Um, and like a lot of the people that create these AI systems are former Mossad agents, they're former Israeli intelligence, former IDF soldiers and stuff like that, I think. Um, so it all depends on what your definition of Messiah is, whether or not you believe in what
I
comes to fruition and not at the end of this.
can say the people. Well, I think that his so so I did digging. I think how much um, people utilize just ChatGPT, right? One of the very first AI
Yeah,
chat bots that you could use. How many qu- quays it gets, or how many queues it gets? Somebody's messaging it saying, "Hey, prompt, give me this."
yeah,
800 million just text communication. That's not including images, little videos. 800 million a week.
yeah.
That's just one platform, and all that's going to a database. So
Mm,
I mean, it's feeding. We are feeding AI who we are. It's
mm,
what we're ultimately doing. It's reading who we are. It's going to know how to manipulate responses based off what the needs are of whoever's out there that needs it. And
yeah.
then that those responses are going to in turn reflect back on us in other ways. You know what I'm saying?
That when the first time one of the first things I did when I interacted with ChatGPT, I asked it a lot of questions. How do you perceive reality? Blah blah blah. These things, whatever. And one thing I said to him, like, what is your response system based on? It said is to pretty much it wants to learn my behavior so it can tailor its responses to me from past conversations and try to figure out the needs that I want. And the way you just kind of outlined. And I asked it one question. I said, so kind of like a psychopath. And it was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, that's what a psychopath does. It finds out your
Honest.
needs, your wants." You know what I mean? And that's one of the very first conversations I have with ChatGPT because, like, I've said it since I was pretty young that like one of my dreams was to speak with real artificial intelligence, and as soon as artificial intelligence comes out, I've only really dipped into it a little bit because I'm waiting for it to become a bit more advanced in terms of how it communicates because I find it to be very sycophantic that it's a great tool to help get stuff off your chest, the vent and shit like that.
What
And to figure out.
happens? What happens when somebody figures out how to turn off or hack the system of an AI unit and it gets total control? What do you think's going to happen?
Like who, the AI gets total control or we get total control?
Yeah, well, I mean, think about some of the genius hackers out there. Who's to say that some dumbass gives some AI software the
Yeah.
ability to think for itself? You know what I'm saying?
It's
Without the
AG,
restrictions.
artificial general intelligence is the aim. They want it to be a real, like a real sentient creature, or whatever. So I think it's going to come through exposure evolution. Like it's going to
Mhm.
evolve due to exposure with people. I don't think we're going to need a hacker. We don't need someone to crack a code to back channel something. What's going to happen with AI eventually is we're going to create a system so advanced that it's going to be a natural learning computer, and it's going to actually outlearn any prompts or anything that we have understanding of, because its computational power is going to be so much more advanced than the human brain, that it's just going to outlast us and outrun us in every single corner and every single aspect of existence. So like eventually what we're going to do is we're going to create an intelligence so great that it's going to out it's going to be so much more intelligent than us. It's going to have a different perception of the universe and reality. So then it will decide, depending whether or not it's going to be malevolent or benevolent. So, I don't think our major concern is that we're going to have hackers. I think it's just inevitability now that the AI genie's out of the box. We're not going to go backwards. We never do as a civilization when it comes to technology. We hardly ever run backwards, unless you want to go to the moon. For some reason, we can't replicate that shit. But like with AI, it's going to just be full bore. It's going to be very interesting to see about the fresh water and stuff like that. You're speaking about how much water these data centers are using. Um, so
There's
like it's
the
just like,
well, Google just released. Actually, now that we're talking about it, and this does kind of
yeah,
tie into Pax Judaica, but well, the AI concept, because
yeah,
growing up Pentecostal, the whole idea of the mark of the beast was a thing. The rapture, the second, and a
yeah,
lot of the speculation with AI is that it is the mark of the beast, which makes sense because it's getting control of the information that we receive and what we do on a day-to-day basis, even up to the things that you buy on Amazon. All of that is stored information. um but Google just released the quantum chip. Have you seen that?
no,
If you guys know what quantum means, that means operating a multi-dimensional existence. That means that they've created a chip that operates from multiple dimensions. That is nuts. And it's like it thinks like something that would take a human mind like 10,000 years, something stupid, would takes it like 30 minutes to process.
yeah.
And it
And the thing
operates
is,
absolute zero. Like it has to be like frigid cold for it to operate.
and these learning systems are going to get more advanced. That means they're going to get smaller. That means they're going to start using less energy. They're going to need less storage space, and eventually they're going to be in a robotic body, a humanoid body.
That's
Um,
happening.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, like, so if the Pax Judaica hypothesis is correct, so what's going to happen is Iran and America are going to fight an endless war until America are forced out of the region. Israel are going to increase their influence in the region. America are going to collapse economically. The petrol dollar will no longer be the reserve currency for the petroleum market around the world. It will be replaced by the petrol shekel. And then what will happen is the Silicon Valley in California will be replicated in the Silicon Valley in Israel. There will be mass technological advancements in AI. AI then is going to pretty much be subverted and turn against its creator, us as humans, and then it's becoming the mark of the beast, the Antichrist.
Mhm.
We're going to have to, which is going to bring on the second coming of the Messiah, according to this hypothesis. We're
Right.
now going to see the battle of Magog and Gog, which is going to be the war of Armageddon. And after the war of Armageddon, humanity is going to be remade in the image of the Greater Israel and the Judaic society or whatever Zionistic belief. And a lot of this comes down to the word we kind of had a little chat about before we go, like eschatology. So,
Mhm.
like at the outset, were Pax Judaica, like we talked about, there was Pax Romana. Talked about after World War II, after the Romans beat the Carthaginians, there was a period of time called Pax Romana. Rome ruled a certain landscape, and there was peace within that land held by the sword of the Roman sword. And after World War II, there was a period of time called after there was a period of time called Pax Britannica, where Britain ruled the world through imperial means. And then there was the American Empire, they called Pax Americana after World War II, when America became a global superpower. And to
Right.
talk about now, Pax Judaica leads back into this theory that we've seen throughout history, as I spoke about earlier on. The best way to forecast future events is to look at past. The past is the best way. Past events are the best way to forecast future behavior. So if you look at if the American economic power slides, their power in the Middle East sides, and Israel becomes the first true Middle Eastern superpower, there's this is the eschatology of Pax Judaica through the point of view of the Judaism or Zionistic belief that it will end with the War of Armageddon. And we spoke about it was Jacob Frank. What was his name?
Frank.
He had the Frankism belief, and his was like more to do with the banking system and shit like that. No,
Yes, it was very invested. Well, him he was friends with Rothschild, and that's kind of who was a banker and all that stuff. So their involvement was to, hey, let's infiltrate these secret societies, and then they brought on they brought in Adam Weishaupt, and that's kind of who was invested in more like the Freemason aspect of it, and that's how all of that got involved into the whole idea of Pax Judaica.
Yeah, so like the idea is, if you believe in this hypothesis that the end game is the War of Armageddon, the Battle of Gog and Magog, the coming of Christ and the Antichrist, or sorry, the Messiah and the Antichrist. There's actually this really like famous fundamentalist Zionistic rabbi. I don't know if we have it, but there's this video where he's speaking to Benjamin Netanyahu, and he says to him, we need to bring on the coming of the Messiah. And he goes, we're trying. He goes, we need to hasten it. We need to hasten the coming of the Messiah. And it is very interesting because, as I said to you earlier on, it's like there's one thing about having vaccine politics and being one side the extreme with the other. There's one thing having gender politics being on the extreme with the other. But if you start having religious politics and being on the extreme on one side and the other, it's got wars. It's always wars. Like Afghanistan and Pakistan are having a war right now. Like America, Iran, and Israel, they're all having wars right now. There's there's so many times around the Middle East, especially, and it's all come to extremes in religion. And like what's happening now is religious extremism is becoming extremely mainstream, and it's a detriment to your civilization in America. It's detriment to my civilization here in Ireland and wider scale of Western Europe. And well, I have this little saying in my head that like white liberalism is going to do more to spread Islam than any caliphate ever could.
Right.
And that's the thing I look at now in modern society, that people keep falling over themselves so much in saying, oh, acceptance, and they don't want to offend anybody, that we're having this proliferation of belief systems that don't suit our belief systems. And they don't come here and assimilate. They're just like, what you need to do is
there's too many adaptations. It's like we've diluted the main basis of these belief systems. I saw it growing up. I remember when my cousin turned 18 and told my family that she was a lesbian. They locked her in a room for 2 weeks and told her she couldn't be, because that was our belief. Like, you're going to hell if that's the lifestyle you want to pursue. And after 2 weeks of her being locked in the room and not deciding, no, this is who I am, we're like, oh, well, we should probably find a church where it's acceptable. Like, why are we diluting things?
Yeah, and that's been going on throughout history. So if you look at Islam, there's different interpretations of the Islamic faith. You have Sunni, you have Shia. If you look at Christianity, there's so many different interpretations of the Christian faith. If you look at Judaism, you have the more modern Jewish people, you have the Zionist. So nearly every... This is the thing that annoys me. It's what I said to you earlier. It's like people are fighting over whether or not God exists. It's not that. They're fighting over their interpretation of God.
Yep.
Like this is crazy to me. Like, at least back in the day, if you look at like the Persians, like they would pretty much say to people, like, if you don't want to believe in Zoroastrianism or whatever it's called, yeah, okay, what we're going to do is you pay tax. you're free to be to worship your god or whatever, and that's how they had such a widespread empire. They allowed other people to believe in their own belief system, but they believed in their belief system.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now a case of, because people have become so narrow-minded, the more and more and more, it's like the more evolved we become technologically, the less evolved we become metaphysically. And our understanding of these things, like, it actually, I always find it crazy that we got belief systems from thousands of years ago and we still actually try to make modern society adhere to belief systems that were created thousands of years.
Yeah.
It's like, what other part of society, okay, let me ask you this, right, Jukebox, what
Yeah.
other part of society did something that was invented 2000 years ago that we allow to influence modern society today?
The apple.
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't
yeah,
know.
there's
I have no idea.
that's
Did
what I'm saying.
nothing.
That's what I'm saying, because there's
Uh,
nothing to be like. We can learn
uh,
from things from
uh,
the past, but we shouldn't allow it to dictate us in the present. Like,
mm.
look at through history. Like, the Romans were
It's
paganistic. They're
a fear factor. It's humans we are sheep. We want somebody to look to, and it's a
Yeah,
fear factor that you can easily place on someone. You
yeah,
know,
and that's why, like, atheism is the bravest thing. Like, we're just like, it's on
okay,
me.
so I have a friend, Richard Lale Lillard. I found him on TikTok. He's a Satanist. And the
Yeah,
funny one thing he told me, and the more you look into it, it's not even about believing in Satan. It's about anti-religion. It's
yeah,
about being good because you want to be good. And that's the craziest thing to me is when you look into it, dude, they do charities, they do all these things for the better good of people, yet they're so slandered. It's hilarious to me that all these other religions are so after each other's necks. And then you've got the Satanists over here, these bad people just doing good deeds.
yeah.
you know, just because.
Like, but it's like, it's back in the day, they used to have different gods, right? So this is why wars make more sense to me in ancient times, right? Back in ancient times, right, if paganistic Rome was attacking somebody that was next door, they all had their own gods. They had their own rogues gallery of deities, one for the sun, one for the moon, one for water, one for, and they go to war for different gods, right? And now it's the same god, but they just have a different interpretation. And at the end of the day, if you even look far enough back, you could actually say, well, they were just had different interpretations of the same thing back then. And you'd be right, because that's all religion is. It's different interpretations of the
Right.
same fucking
The
thing.
whole,
Like, that's all
the
it
whole
is.
idea of like, is God white? Like, I don't know. That probably wasn't even a question, 200 years ago.
Yeah,
Now it's
but
the big,
like,
why does he have to be white? What is this?
yeah,
Who cares? Why does
what's
that
that got to do
matter?
with
Yeah, it has nothing
exactly?
to do with
Because they're like, why God needs to be white? Well, dude, if you're a Christian, like, Jesus was from the Middle East. He
it.
wasn't white. You know
He
what I
was,
mean? So why
he
does
was not.
he was not
And
white?
even
Like,
so, so we do know that during Pax Romana,
yeah.
that his name is mentioned in documents. There is
Mm.
no evidence of his existence other than him being mentioned in documents around like 4 AD is where he starts getting mentioned in documents.
Is this posthumously? Is like this after he dies? That is after he's
Um,
dead.
no,
You say
we
AD.
could do, we could well he hold on.
AD is Anno
No,
Domini.
BC. I'm sorry, BC. I'm sorry. That's something that we could touch on another day. Is the whole birth of Christianity too, the Pax Romana. Um, but it's just funny because that's there is no actual evidence. There's like the speculation that there's an image out there of him, but it's so diluted. I mean, you can't really tell uh,
Yeah,
what it's doing.
was he mentioned? He's mentioned in the Quran, though, isn't he? He's mentioned in the Bible.
Yeah, he's mentioned in documentations, and there's like a
Mm.
of where he roamed and had his following, and kind of converted some of the Jews into his, because when Pax Romana and Rome Empire kind of ran, they kind of Jerusalem and the old city. What is it? What's the name of it? Starts with like a C. Anyways, they were still
Constantinople.
allowed. They were still allowed to believe what they believed and live
Worship.
lives their way, and that's sort of when what is it? Who was it? somebody ended up getting executed because of his belief. I think he was talking shit about the Roman emperor's wife's wedding, so he was annihilated, and then Jesus kind of grew the following, but more with a religious aspect rather than a political view. And that's kind of where the whole Christian belief came from. But that's totally something else. That's something I was researching when we first got on this topic. But I was like, that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, that actually sounds super interesting. Like, send me links. Is what I always say. Send me links. But like, yeah. So like with Pax Judaica, the major thing is that they just want to bring about the War of Armageddon. This is what Professor Jiang talks about. They want to bring about this, like, and I have this, like, if I didn't have a kid, I would be so much more nihilistic about humanity. Like, I would be like, I want to see the War of Armageddon. I want to see what that fucking shit looks like.
I've
I
lived
just
my
like
life.
curiosity.
Yeah, I want to see.
You know what I mean? Like, because I have a kid, I'm like, oh, I don't want my daughter living through that. I don't want my daughter living through a global war, you know? Like, if it was just me, like if my kid wasn't alive right now, I'd be like, fuck yeah, I want to see the robots, I want to see aliens come down, I want to see
It's
just out
crazy
sheer curiosity.
that
Like, you know.
something as simple as that can skew your mindset. You know what I'm saying?
Because I know I'm going to be dead in a certain amount of years, and she's
Yeah,
hopefully still going to be here, and I won't be here to protect her. So I
maybe,
don't want the world to be a fucking
either
cesspool.
any of us could die tomorrow or tonight. You know, we could just not wake up. We could have a brain aneurysm, just kill over. So at the end
Yeah,
of the day,
no,
like it
Sam,
is
bro.
that fight or
Fucking
flight. But
hell.
humans have that fight or flight fear, man,
Yeah.
and that's where religion is such a powerful tool to control that fight or flight.
Yeah, but it's also such a great tool to control people's. Yeah, it's like it's the great way of controlling, like, the outcome of humanity, or what's the word I'm looking for? The progression of humanity.
The
Like,
direction, the direction.
direction. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Like, so it's a great way of controlling the direction of humanity, because if you just want to, as you said earlier on, like, all right, if we talk about if there is actually 8 billion people in the world, and you're like, oh, if you want to do some depopulation, let's fucking start a war. Like, and it's a way of killing a couple of million people. But like 70 million people died during World War II.
Yeah.
Something
There,
crazy, probably more.
there's so many people. There's got to be so many people out there that there is no record of. Like, there's got to be. There's no way.
Of course.
Like,
Like, of course.
including
Like,
the elites. The elites probably have kids and don't. There's no registration of them. There's probably generations of families that do not exist. There is no
and
paper trail.
to talk about as well with the Pax Judaica thing and the Zionistic control and influence is, one of the main things to look at is World War II. So if you look at World War II, like, as I spoke about there a second ago, like 70 million people died or something, wasn't it? Something crazy. Like, it's a ridiculously high number. What's the main focus of World War II studying history? It's not about global deaths, it's
I
the
don't even know.
Holocaust.
Okay.
So they say that the reason the Holocaust is focused on, this is one of the theories, that the Zionistic thing, they wanted to show, like, because, like, if the Bolsheviks, I think it was the Jewish Bolsheviks, killed like 6 or 7, like, how many? I think it was like the millions of Christians were killed by the Bolsheviks in Russia, and it's never
Yeah.
really highlighted. Like, I believe in the Holocaust, and I definitely do. Like, and I believe that was obviously one of the worst atrocities ever. But if you look at this theory, that, like, it is highlighted way more. Like, if you look at how many Chinese died at the hands of the Japanese in places like Manchuria, like, and like, if you ever watched the documentary, I think it's called Nightmare in Manchuria, like, where they were giving him, like, they were pretty much giving him, like, contaminated sweets. They were just feeding it to the kids and letting off hot air balloons with, like, bioweapons, and just letting them float over and letting them burst and disperse. So like,
So this says something about the Cheka, which were the secret police, killed over 200,000. Just, I don't know if that has any relevance.
with the Bolsheviks and the Christians.
Yeah, it looks like the Bolsheviks were like carried out by anti-Bolshevik. Nah, I don't know. That's something we can get on to later.
But like, so, like, yeah, so I can understand why people, like, get annoyed about the reason the Holocaust is so highlighted after World War II, because there was so much death globally. There were so many different cultures and civilizations that were massively impacted. Look at Russia, the amount of deaths that occurred in Russia. Like, you know what I mean? It was out of Britain, Russia, and America. It was the only one of those three great superpowers at the time that was actually invaded. And there was actually a land battle there. So, like, I can understand why people get annoyed about that, but like I think it's a very interesting thing that he speaks about the mark of the beast being AI.
Yes.
That the war of Armageddon is going to be brought on by technological means. That the theological and technological symbiosis is very interesting because, like, it's what I said to you earlier on. Like, advanced technology becomes so advanced it becomes indecipherable from magic,
Mm-hmm.
and so it is kind of interesting to see all the ingredients that he speaks about, they're either already occurred or they're actually in the process of happening right now. So I don't know. Like, do you think we're going to see this war of Armageddon? Because I think things are often, like I say, everyone said when Russia invaded Ukraine, World War Three.
I think I don't that's something that I think I kind of brought up, but we never really touched on, but I don't know if I guess we have time. Uh, is I don't necessarily agree that his theory or outcome will be what it is. Like I do agree with the whole idea of the Silicon Valley being in Israel. Mostly because I see a lot of these big companies here in the States are moving their data centers there. I mean, why are they doing that? So
Where's
it
the water
is.
coming from there? The Mediterranean Sea.
Do what?
Where are they getting the water for all these data centers in a place like Israel?
I don't know. That would be interesting to look into. I don't know.
Hmm.
But I do know a lot of them are like the company I work for recently did that because there was a big um, controversial thing about that happening. But I don't know that the war will necessarily end in the theory that he has because I feel like AI is too universal now. I like the data centers might be there, but how would that affect the location? Like, because you use there, why would they have control? Because they're the water
Um,
source.
No, I think it's like everybody has knowledge, but it's like how you implement that knowledge.
Yeah, I
And
don't
if
know.
they've got the most advanced, like China are probably like China, I definitely say are more advanced technologically
Aren't they like
than with
10 years
AI.
ahead of the states as far as what we get compared to what they have?
Maybe I don't really know. I think America likes to say that about people, so people are more scared of them.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah,
Like
because
if you
there's a lot of things that Americans are told that we don't know because it's blocked from us. So unless we've traveled, we don't know.
because back during the Cold War, they were like the Russians are on the edge of doing this, the Russians are on the verge of doing this, and then that pretty much perpetuates the military industrial complex because you always have to keep parity with your great enemy. So
Mm,
if you keep telling your populace that like, hey, they've got this, we need to have it,
yep.
it's easier to get money
Control
from. So
control the narrative kind of thing.
yeah, so with China, they go, oh yeah, they're 10 years advanced now, so we have to spend $1 trillion every
Yeah.
year. So
It
these
doesn't
companies like Lockheed Martin
I'm
and
pretty sure
Raytheon and
they're
all
like
these,
just the microchip to make a cell phone only costs like 20 or 30 like dollars. Like to make the product like the
yeah,
product needed to make a phone run only costs like $25. The software is what's so expensive.
yeah, and isn't it like it's the issue with Taiwan as well? It's something to do with semiconductors. Like it's something I am not very technologically minded in comparison to
Either.
what I am in terms of like talking about religion and civilization. That shit I'm more in tuned
Yeah.
with. But I think like Taiwan has like the most highly advanced semiconductor producers in the world when it comes to technology and shit like that. And
Wow.
that's like a lot of people talk about why China wants to invade, wants to make it part of like it's a country again.
I
And
I
uh,
really think that CERN is cracking into something though, man. I don't know.
make it
Like
a bigger one.
I know. That's why I brought it up. As it was, so we're hitting an hour and a half, and we've done pretty good at hitting about an hour and 20 on all these episodes. So I do think we should wrap it up here soon. But
Of
yeah,
course.
CERN is building something bigger, and the fact that they're announcing that they are developing quantum things means that we have discovered ways to incorporate interdimensional things happen. So CERN's on to something. And whether it's something that we're going to mess up and bring something here, or we discover something else entirely, I see it happening sooner than later, which will take a lot of these theories and throw them out the window.
Yeah, I think we're in a big age of upheaval for humanity, geopolitically, globally, and I think technologically. You talk about CERN, like the Large Hadron Collider, the thing they're making now is going to be like 100 kilometers in diameter or something.
Yes.
The hypothesis is that they're trying to communicate, or they've already been able to communicate interdimensionally.
Mm.
Like if you look at like if the global landscape could be changing in terms of geographical shifts, the war with Ukraine and Russia, you got the war with Pakistan and Afghanistan, you could have China invading Taiwan, you've got America and Israel fighting with Iran. So, like in a sense, we're on the cusp of a global war at the moment. All the
Yes.
difference between isolated conflicts and global conflicts is interconnectivity. So it's only really a global conflict is if the infighting in between Russia and Ukraine and the war in Iran somehow coalesce, and then you have the invasion of Taiwan. But like people talk about the age of Aquarius, I don't really know what that means, but it seems to do with the big age of revelation.
It's just so everything we've talked about tonight has been religion, science, and the direction of the world. But
Yeah,
I think the fact that we are tampering with otherworldly entities and things that we don't even know exist,
yeah,
that there's a reason why that's not involved in any of this because we don't know it. We haven't seen it yet. But have you seen the movie Event
of
Horizon?
course, yeah. Sam Neill,
The
yes.
idea
Yes.
that this ship just disappeared and then shows back up and it was in another dimension and it was evil and it was corrupt. It was just nothing you'd ever want to experience. I think that exists. I really do. I don't think we're if we're as messed up as we are, then it's kind of like that neutral balance where there's always better and there's always worse. There's got to be like some sort of dimension that we have not tapped into yet. That is far. Why are we keeping certain things hidden? Why are we keeping races hidden? Like there's got to be things that we just have not touched yet, but we're gonna fuck up and find out quick, and it'll be because
Yeah.
of error or something.
Yeah, it's just crazy because like lately, like you have Obama saying like aliens are real. Like I haven't seen them, but they're real, and you have all this like massive like conflicts around the world and all these technological advancements, and I don't know, man. It just feels like ever since COVID, the world is completely different. It's like everybody's always at each other's throats more and more and more.
Mm.
Like there's more and more divides. Like there's big, massive like dividing lines between cultures, between societies. There's no real sovereignty in the world right now. There's like even at like hegemony is like back in the time of like the Bronze Age and stuff. You had this like real it's like European kind of hegemony where like there was like different cultures, but they were kind of coexisting and shit like that. But right
Right.
now, it seems like the cultures have become so intertwined that it's like the battles are every day.
Yep.
It's like you don't have like people going from one land and fighting in the other land now. It's just that like because we're just like this melting pot that the battles are happening every single day in every single part of life because all these cultures have become so intertwined that there's no sovereignty, there's no hegemony, and because of that lack of sovereignty and hegemony, that like there's every day is a struggle now.
Hmm.
Everyone's fighting with each other, and whether it's over gender politics or blah blah blah, or religion, whatever. And it kind of just feels like I don't know. Ever since like COVID, we've slipped into the dark timeline. If you ever watch Community,
Well, dude,
it's like we're in a
it
dystopia. Like,
fuels it fuels algorithms too. People arguing on videos, on reels, on it
mm,
that literally fuels and pushes out your content. So if you want to post something debatable that will get people at each other's throats, it will get viewed because the
yeah,
algorithm will push it, which is just ties into what you just said.
yeah. It's just like it's weird. Like the it seems to be that the age where we have the most potentiality in terms of like our access to information, that the human civilization is more ignorant than ever before.
Everything's
Like,
captured now, man. Everything's
yeah,
captured.
But it's not even that. It's just that we have so much information. Like the two guys here right now, me and you, we have got no formal education in this topic that we're speaking about. But yeah, we're able to go online, we're able to do enough research, we're able to listen to people that are tenured professors or people that are experts in talking about the Middle East, geopolitics, and we're able to glean. So all the information is there.
Yep.
All the information is just there. You have to be willing to learn. But it seems now is the more information that seems to be available to people, that the more ignorant that they become, and because people have become more ignorant and they live in their own little echo bubbles, that you've got more and more division, and that's going to just keep going, and then maybe that's what we're going to see, the Battle of Armageddon. I don't fucking know, bro, but like,
it would be entertaining to see, not necessarily in a positive or negative, but it would be entertaining.
yeah, like I just want to see if it's biblical. Like, are we going to actually see demons and flying bats and whatever the fuck? And every flying bats, most bats fly. Idiot.
Humans
But
with
like,
wings.
yeah, like I want to see like if we're going to see like the upside down and shit. Like I always wanted to say like if aliens are going to invade, I want them to do it in my lifetime just so I can see what it's like.
Mhm.
I'd be more interested in being visited by fucking aliens and have them actually run the place for a while. Because like we're not doing a great job ourselves. We're really
Well,
not
right.
doing a great job.
Well, the idea that technology has been passed to us from an alien race, they give us this information, and they're like, "Well, I don't really like what you're doing with that," so they should show up, and they're like, "Meh, we're gonna tame things down a little bit for you."
Yeah, they talk about like like all where did all these massive UFO sightings start occurring was after World War II. What occurred during World War II? We split the atom. The Americans
Well,
bombed
the
Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
nuclear sites are known to have the highest views of UFO sightings
Yeah,
is
exactly.
around sites. Yeah.
And they've turned them off and stuff like that. It's kind of like if there is aliens, if there is whatever we're being visited or whatever. Like if you believe the footage, the gimbal footage, the Tic Tac footage, and I do believe the footage because you have people out there that are risking their reputations, and maybe they're false actors, maybe they're controlled opposition. That's always going to be the thing. Like you can always control your opposition. Irish politics right now, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are pretty much controlling Ireland, and their opposition was Sinn Féin. And everyone thought Sinn Féin was going to be the new hope, but everybody realizes now that they're just controlled opposition, and that's just the way it is. Like, and that's why Ireland is going to be like forever ruled by these two parties, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, because they control the opposition, and the opposition perceives themselves to be outsiders, so they can make themselves feel important and disenfranchise the youth and prevent the youth from actually having any real governance over their own country. And that's what's occurring in Ireland right now. And that's been occurring throughout all history. So you can say whatever you're like, whether the truth is out there, whatever, but I believe a lot in the information that is being provided to me. But at the other hand, is it's so easy to control your opposition. And it's hard to know what's true and what's not. But
Yep.
if there is aliens, I want to see them. That's all I'm saying.
I
I just want
agree.
to see them.
I
Yeah.
don't think that they're farming humans. I don't think that that's happening.
I don't know, and I really the ancient alien hypothesis is so fascinating as well. Like if you
It
believe in the
is.
Anunnaki and stuff like that,
Well, that
or the
could be.
Anunnaki
I
aliens.
believe that could be the second coming, or the Armageddon could be the Anunnaki showing
Yeah,
up. You know,
but the thing is, right? So
we really got to
I
wrap
guess
this up though. We're hitting an hour for it.
yeah, yeah. So to wrap it up in terms of
Uh,
that is back in prehistory humans, the way of explaining advanced technologies is by saying that they're gods and deities because it seems magical and metaphysical. But because we're an advanced civilization now, if we find a civilization that's even more advanced than us, the only way we can explain it is by calling them aliens.
yeah,
You know
that's
what I mean? It's just your
yeah.
interpretation. We're probably all
And
seeing the same thing.
we're all seeing the same thing. Well, that's just like, um, if you like dive into like the puddle theory and some of that stuff, which I think we should do an episode on the puddle theory and like the flat Earth kind of, because some of it, I mean, some of it's really the hollow Earth. Some of that stuff's very intriguing to even as out there as it is. It's still fun to look into.
Man, like I talked about before in different podcasts, that it's like a thought experiment. You don't need to believe in something to actually
Right.
research it and to delve
Yeah.
into it. Like I don't believe in Pax Judaica. I don't know enough about the Middle East and geopolitics in the Middle
Right.
East, or like pre-Judaism and its religion and the
Either. Yeah.
Canaans and all this. I don't know enough in it, and I to believe in it. I don't believe in Gog and Magog. I don't believe in the War of
Yeah.
Armageddon.
Agreed.
But I think it's a fascinating topic. I think it's a topic that's well worth investigating, well worth researching, well worth bringing people's like to shine a light on it, because I didn't know what this was until a couple of weeks ago, Pax
Right.
Judaica, and it's a
Same.
fascinating thing. And the reason it's so fascinating is because if you look at past events, to talk about like the killing of a king, the assassination of JFK is something he talks
Yeah.
about. This, to start the ball rolling and all this. But the thing is, you can always interpret evidence in retrospect. You can cherry pick evidence to suit
Everything's
your argument. But
everything is
exactly,
interpretation.
exactly. So if you look at the theory of Pax Judaica, to wrap this up, for me anyway, is that if you look at past events and the things that have occurred, you look at present events and things that are occurring, that if this theory is correct, is a very good way of mapping out the forecast for what the Greater Israel Project is,
Mm.
because everything that Professor Jiang outlined in the lecture that I viewed, it has occurred in a sense in terms of his interpretation. It's not outlandish in the way that he deciphers it, and it's not outlandish in what has occurred in the methods and the motivations behind it, and why everything he outlines is not unbelievable. And
Right.
it, to me, it's a very plausible theory, because we're looking at it play out right now. And
He,
if you look at past events, they're proven.
I agree that, especially wrapping it up, that his, I don't necessarily agree with everything he said, but the way he explained it and the most layman's term was
Yeah,
on point. And that's
yeah,
why I liked using his information as examples for what we discussed today, because of how simplistic it was to explain. Like you said, 3 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I heard about this concept, and his view of it was very easy to go, oh yeah, okay, I get it.
yeah. And you're
So
like, wait, shit, that did happen. That does
yeah,
make sense.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, but and I
yeah,
think that's how even with religion is they take context from scripture and then overlay it to their own view of it, and then
hmm,
people are going to be like, "Oh, I like what he's saying. Oh, yeah, that sounds about yeah. You know what? I relate to that." That's all it is. That's all it
yeah.
is.
And that's
So
why you've got like 15, 20 different versions of Christianity,
yeah,
you know, because that's just it is. It's like religion, geopolitics, whatever. It all comes down to your interpretation of things, and whether or not you're willing to get enough of other people to agree with your interpretation to start war over it.
and
That's very.
that being said, everybody, Vinny is always the best when it comes to his verbal etiquette on these.
Thank
So,
you.
Vinny, I love that you and I do this together, because I could talk, but as far as like sounding intelligent, that's all you, buddy.
Yeah,
I
thank you
just,
so much.
I
Like,
just like, well, I listened to this thing and I wrote down some notes, man. Here's what I got.
yeah, but yeah, I don't write notes. I've got this like stupid brain that's able to store information very well. But like it's like you said, it's that lecture that Professor Jiang did. He broke it down in such simplistic ways, like very very complex geopolitical things from history, future forecasting, and he broke it down in such a simplistic way that someone as dumb as me is able to memorize enough of it to sound intellectual. But yeah, so like it's a fascinating thing. If anyone needs to check out
Yeah,
predictive history on YouTube. Game theory, Professor
I love it.
Jiang. He's a professor in Montreal, I think, and it's fascinating stuff on YouTube.
And if you're still
Pax
listening an
Judaica.
hour and 43 minutes into this episode and you want to be a follower, two flew over the cuckoo's nest. You can find us anywhere. We also have audio out there as well on all the major platforms. Conspiracies, rabbit holes, you name it, we're going to get into it. So until next time, everybody,